The purpose of the financial inventory is to literally see the story. And if you can see the story, you'll do just fine. You should be helping protect one annuity a month. That's why it's interesting how the Native Americans, they would send their children on a vision quest. They read it. The goal is to remove sales pressure because we ain't trying to pressure anybody. You can't lose what you never had. If you know why, it empowers the how, right? Before where clients do lie. But the financial inventory, well filled, will save your license because they're repeating age 20 over and over and over. This is where you have to completely destroy other policies. If you do not identify and destroy the policies right then, you are in trouble. Indicators. He says if you're serious about training to be a CEO, you need to do something that is long and hard and far away. All right, y'all, welcome to the FFL Enter the Haven team huddle. Mac Agobor here, I'll be your host, and we're going to be talking about the financial inventory. We're going to talk about that too. Why? Well, the reason I'm telling you this up front, why, is because here's what I know. How is weak, right? You can get how pretty quickly. But normally, if you know why, it empowers the how, right? Most people that know why, they figure out the hows, right? That's just how it works. The financial inventory is something so simple, but it's hard. Here's what I know. I think the number one coach, he was a Packer. Oh, someone help me out. Lombardi. You know, every practice, even though he had Pro Bowl players, he would start off the practice with the ball. He goes, everyone, guys, this is a football. He says you win and lose a football game by, pass, run, just simple things. In soccer, if you can do the simple stuff, I'm talking, you can trap the ball, pass it, block, just simple. So what I'm telling you is the financial inventory, if you can just get good at it, you will win. It's the simple stuff. And I say this because as I've been receiving people sending financial inventories, and by the way, kudos to those that are actually working, it's apparent that your success level is based on what you're not seeing. Because what I'm seeing is it's blank, y'all. Like things that I put there are blank. Now, some of you remember we had a financial inventory that had a completely different set. It was almost simple. It was simplified, and that was the purpose of it. But as I began in the business, here's what I began to notice. I said to myself, man, I wish I'd had this or this. So I just put it together, and here's what I found. If I told you this, take this sword. It's simple sword. You don't got to use it all, but the best swordsmen use this sword. Wouldn't you use all of the sword, or would you just use it just to cut up some apples, right? I mean, you would use it for more than that. So I'm saying there's a lot of things that we're missing that I'm going to share with you. Again, if you're brand new and the things I'm going to share with you, you're not even using them yet, that's okay. The purpose for you to know why it's there, because your premiums for family, you'll find that you're missing those because you don't know what it is. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through how I fill out a financial inventory, why I do it the way I do it, my mindset behind it. Now, a couple of little announcements prior to. So the national conference, we just found out it's going to be from January 31st to February 3rd of 2024. It's going to be in the Irving Convention Center. A couple of things have changed. 5,000 people max. Why is that different? Well, we can open up for everyone. I mean, again, we opened it up. We had a whole stadium, like the Bible says, the king called everyone, but the people said, oh, I'm too busy. I gotta go help this person. They gave excuses for why they couldn't come. So now he said, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna bring only the poor people. Now, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is we've made it smaller. And I bring that up because isn't it interesting how when you open something up, very, very little small people or percentage of people get it. So guys, 5,000, that's it. So will you be part of that 5? So when registration link comes out, hopefully next week, get on it. Now, I'm saying more than that. How do you capture the heart of a human? So I'm going to go back to that for a second. I read a book once called How to Become a CEO. And the guy was real low key. He said, in order to become a CEO, the non-scholastic part of it, he says, one of the things you need to do to know whether you will be a good CEO, and I'm saying CEO of your life, your company, right? You can't be a good CEO of your company if you're not a good CEO of your life. He goes, here's one of the indicators. He says, if you're serious about training to be a CEO, you need to do something that is long and hard and far away. So it's long. And by the way, you need to do it by yourself. So that's why it's interesting how the Native Americans, they would send their children on a vision quest. They had to go figure it out. When they came back, they were different human beings. Hence the reason when you go to a faraway place, you sacrifice. I mean, it's in Dallas, right? You do what it takes to get there. You almost grew up. Now, some of us, we are 30 years old, 40 years old, 60 years old. But you know what's interesting? You could be 40, 50, 60 years old, but you're not really that old. You literally are repeating your life as a 15-year-old because that's how old your mind is. You see what I'm saying? Some people, their age is deceptive because they're still negative Nancy's. They're not accomplishing anything because they're repeating age 20 over and over and over. You see what I'm saying? This is a chance to capture your heart, to grow. So we purposely do it this way. You go away from your city, you pay some money, and it's free, by the way, right? It's free. You pay airfare, you pay a flight to go on your vision quest to find who? To find you. Because this FFL game, it has nothing to do with FFL. It has everything to do with you and your mentality. So what is my point in saying that? Well, we just announced that it's going to happen January 31st through the February 3rd. If it was me and I wanted to win, how do you capture your heart? Here's a clue. Go buy your plane ticket right now. Why? Well, buy your airfare right now. Well, first things first, it's cheap right now, right? Second thing, it locks you in. Here's why I'm saying that. Let's say I was brand new and I was scared in whatever, and someone says, hey, Mac, I know you're scared. I know you don't think you have the skill, but if I told you that if you were to go to a certain place in a year from now, you would be everything you needed to be to become who you wanted to be, to make six figures, to help X families, whatever else. If I gave you that promise, would you do it? I would too. You know what's interesting about that comment is the commitment that it takes to go buy your ticket right now for next year's conference. That is almost like the galvanization of opening up. It's the catalyst for you starting to believe, because you know what's interesting? Your belief or lack of belief is what's keeping you from achieving what you got to do. So guys, just believe. Last story, Andrew Taylor did something similar. He bought his plane ticket and he was getting killed. I'm talking crushed in the business. Andrew Taylor, remember, he was a grocery bagger. I'm talking grocery bagger. He said, I don't think insurance is for me. I'm quitting. But you know what? He'd already bought his tickets, his plane ticket. He goes, I already bought the thing. I might as well just go because, bought the airfare. He goes to this conference. His life changes. And now he's Andrew Taylor. He said to us, he asked the question, what can you imagine his life had he not gone? But you know what the difference? His slight edge decision, which that's what makes our life different or not, right? His slight edge decision changed the trajectory of his whole life. Some of us are waiting last minute. That's why you're 30, 40, 50 years old and looking for a business that you're going to win in, because you waited too long. Don't make the same mistakes that got you here. Change your mentality. Start slight edge. Make a decision now. Plant a tree that you will not see the fruit of it right now, but you will see it later. That long-term slight edge mentality, that's what it takes to win. The I will until. So again, I'm just telling you, the people that are serious will go to Priceline, you will buy your ticket. And by the way, so it starts on Tuesday. So Monday, we're actually going to have a lock-in. So we're going to go to Dallas, we're going to get a hotel or get the boardroom or buy a big house, something like that, or with the Airbnb, and we're going to do a lock-in. And we're just going to be doing dials. We're going to be basically closing out, helping families. So that Monday, I'm talking all day, maybe till about 6, then we'll eat out. So if you're planning on getting there, I would say fly out on Sunday so that you can get there and be part of that lock-in on Monday, right? So just remember that. So get there the the 29th, so that the 30th, you can be part of that lock-in, get to meet your folks, your posse, your team, your crew, your tribe. So keep that in mind. Capture your own heart by making a decision today. Just remember this: success and failure are separated by just a few degrees, guys. A plane going one destination, if it just literally deviates by 1 degree, this is a true story, by the way, the guy hit a mountain, the plane hit a mountain because he deviated by 1 degree and he messed his whole life up. Don't make the decision poorly. Decide now. So hope you understand. Get yourself locked in, get your tickets early. And if you do, post on the Telegram group so we know you're committed. And I don't want to hear the excuse, oh, I'm waiting. No, don't wait. Get it. If you can't get it all at once, get a part of it, right? But rent the car. Do something that gets you locked in, right? Okay, so we're going to transition to the financial inventory. So for the financial inventory to work, the purpose of the financial inventory is to literally see the story. And if you can see the story, you'll do just fine. The story will not only reveal where the premium is, it'll reveal where the opportunities are. It'll reveal the angle at which you need to position the solution, the sale, right? So much of us winning has to do with us positioning the sale. It isn't so much option 1, 2, and 3, it's what that does for the client, right? Think of it this way. When you go to a restaurant, is it just that they have food or steak? Because, people serve steaks in all over different kind of restaurants. Or is it the way it's presented? Or is it the way that, the plate has a little, curved napkin, blah, 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 right? It just makes you feel better being there. That's why you pay $100 per plate. That's why you wait a month to get a reservation there, because the experience is different. That's what we're doing here. When we do the right financial inventory, it works to our advantage. So, all right, financial inventory. Everyone can see that? It was created for a couple things. So actually, let me make it main concern. Identify what the problem is. Put it there. And this is not only for you, but for me. If you're going to be asking for help, this is going to help you think right. If it's mortgage, just circle it or fill it in. Well, what is it that they're trying to do? What is the problem? The first 5-10 minutes, you need to get good at identifying what is the actual problem. The problem is not, oh, they don't have any life insurance. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is, what is not having life insurance going to create? The problem is not having a job. The problem is, what is not having a job going to make you have to do? That's the problem. So that's why we find out what is the main concern. What is really going to happen? So just so I understand, Mr. Jones, if you die today for your son, I mean, would they have that 10,000 to come out no problem, or would that kind of put them out? Got it. So you're trying to make sure that you don't leave a burden with your son for that 10,000 and have him have to go, get a loan and all that stuff, right? Got it. So avoid son getting a loan for 10,000. That's the problem, right? So if it's mortgage, great. If it's final expense, identify that. If it's mortgage, you're going to fill this out. Fill this stuff out, the loan amount, all that stuff. If it's not, skip it. You put the name, of course. Date of birth, and we put on here in the new ones, the 2023 version, put the age. If your current financial inventory does not have the space for an age, please do the math yourself and put it on there. Height and weight, please put that on there. Critical, because man, this is life insurance. Products do have build guides, right? We had a situation yesterday. Agent sent me this. If you don't send me the right information, all I'm doing is guessing, right? And do you want to guess or do you want accurate information? I gave him the recommendation based on what he sent me. It was declined. I'm like myself, how is that possible based on what he told me? Well, he failed to put the height and weight, and so we had to pivot. So put that, of course, tobacco, non-tobacco. And this is one of the great ways you can kind of speed up the process is, hey, let me just ask you some questions that'll give you some qualified discounts. Are you a tobacco user? Did you hear that word track? That'll give you some qualified discounts. Say it exactly like that. Guys, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just copy the right cat, right? I got it from someone else. And of course, you find out their income. I would just go straight to the, once you find out the income, you can split it. You can split up the questions, or you can ask it all at one time for the qualified discounts. Tobacco. And as far as your finances, do you have a credit union or a normal bank or like a direct express card? That's how you're finding out early on what kind of clientele you have and where you have to go. Perfect. And as far as work, what do they do for work? And this part, because I've seen people do it wrong, This is their occupation, is what they do. And secondly is if they're W-2 or self-employed, is how much they bring in. Here's how you ask it. And roughly, what does that bring in a month for you? Take home, give or take. I repeat. And so what does the accounting bring home for you? Take home, give or take. You're not the IRS. You don't have to, hey, let me go get out the checkbook. No. Just give or take. And they know, right? And that's so if they're working, you put it there. And I always ask, any other forms of income? Great. So if they're retired, I'm going back a little bit. If they say they're retired, here's what I ask. What did you do in your working years, Bill? I was a plumber. Perfect. It doesn't really matter, but it helps lead me to the next question. It tees me up. So, Bill, did you receive a pension and Social Security or just one or the other? Oh, I got both. Perfect. Easy, non-evasive way just to ask the questions, okay? If it's Social Security, this is not where we want their Social Security number. This section is simply detailing where their money is coming from. As a field underwriter, your job, this is part of your job. Remember LIMRA, right? Fighting anti-money laundering. This is part of your job. You need to know where people's money comes from. You can't just say, what do you make? If you do that, and then there's another bomb in Phoenix, then they find out, the FBI, that your client was part of that situation. They see that you wrote him a life insurance policy. They're going to come to you and say, hey, so Alexis, when you were giving him this policy, what did he say as far as what he did for work? Oh, I didn't ask. You're going to jail, right? Or you're getting the fine. So it's part of your job to ask. So don't think you can just skip it. Like, you need to know this stuff. So you find out what he does, where the money comes from. So he tells you he gets a pension. I put those two in two separate slots for a reason, because not all pensions or disability, if you see on the right of it, transfers over. I'm trying to find out what the problem is while I'm getting their income. So he can say, total of the month, it's about $6,000. Perfect. So break that up for me real quick, Mr. Jones. How much of that is Social Security versus a pension? And he'll say XX, because let's say he brings in $5,000 or 2,500 Social Security and 2,500 from a pension. And then the next question you'll ask is, Mr. Jones, what percentage of that pension did you elect for your wife to receive when you die? And they'll tell you 0, 50%, 5%. That is critical recon, y'all. That is helping you create enough ammunition, putting you in a position of strength to be able to position the options, right? He says 0. All right, so that makes sense why we're doing this, Mr. Jones, because she's going to lose all of that. Yep, perfect. Next, life insurance. Oh, by the way, next, life insurance. Any life insurance you own at all that would pay to Mrs. Jones if you die today? No? Perfect. Boom. And this is where, again, I'm telling you guys, you got to fill this stuff out. This is where you have to completely destroy other policies. If you do not identify and destroy the policies right then, you are in trouble. So he says, I have something from the military. I have the government deal. You better stop the show and handle it right now. Because here's what you're thinking. Whatever he says he has, it's like a zombie. A zombie is very, very slow, right? Right? You guys have seen the movies. You could outrun a zombie as long as it's not a World War Z zombie. Those zombies are fast, right? But if it's a normal zombie, you could outrun it. So you just ask him what he had. He says he has a zombie policy. You're like, big deal. You go on. And then you're just sitting there chilling. Next thing you know, the zombie's, biting you on the back, eating your brains out. You'll never forget that example. The policies that they tell you that they have their zombies, you must kill them, shoot them in the head, however you kill a zombie, right now. So he tells you he has this. Perfect. You write down. So which carrier was that? And do you remember how much are you paying a month, give or take? All right. And more or less, how much would it pay out to Bill? Perfect. And it would save me a lot of time, just so I can add to my producer report. Go ahead and grab that policy. Notice I didn't ask for their permission. Go ahead and grab that policy real quick so that I can add to my producer report. If I'm talking to Bill and he has to go grab his policy, or maybe Susie, his wife, she can go grab it. If Bill is going to grab it and I'm already right now in Bill's section, perfect, Bill, go and grab it. I'll start on Susie. And I would start asking her questions. Wait, hold on, Mac. Bill said this was life insurance just for him only. Why are you asking questions about Susie? You got to get the full story, guys. When I get a financial inventory and it only shows one section, that tells me you didn't do your job properly. Why do you need to fill out the other section, even though that's not the person we're getting product for? Well, because you need to know the story of her, what's being lost, to position yourself in strength to give the solution. You gotta ask Mary her date of birth, her weight, her height, and also maybe you can help her out, what she brings in, right? So that you can know whether she can sustain herself. How bad is it, right? Because when you present the options, and if you do it without even identifying her situation, you will not be in a position of strength. You know, Mr. Jones might just be very lackadaisical about it. Well, I guess it's just kind of expensive, so I won't do it right now. If you don't have any position of strength or any information, any power to be able to challenge him, all you can say is, well, I know this is important. That's all you can say. Versus, okay, I'm kind of confused with Jones. We just identified right now that if you die today, Susie would be like out of luck. She would have to sell the house, go fund me. I'm confused. We are here to make sure she doesn't have to do that. Now, I know you're not wanting her to do that, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure you understand that we need to do something, even if it's small, right? Yeah. How could I say that if I didn't know Susie's position? I couldn't. So stop sending financial inventories with only one section. You got to get the full story. So if it's the son that's going to be receiving the money, or in another state, I ask about the son. And roughly, I know this is maybe a little personal, or he may not tell you. Is he doing pretty well financially, or are you doing okay? Okay. Like his job is what does he do? He's a plumber. Okay, plumbers do pretty well. I mean, if you had to guess, would you say he brings in what, 2, 3, 5 grand a month? Oh, I don't know, but he's doing pretty well. Yeah, we'll just say 5 grand. Put it on there so that if you send for help, we know the story. We know that his son is doing okay, and you will put son there or something like that. We just got to know the rest of the story. Anyway, going back to Mr. Jones, he comes back, gives you the policy, and here's what happens, y'all. 9 out of 10 times, what clients say they think they have is not what they have. Guys, it is so rare a client says what they actually have. I had a client a couple of weeks ago, actually last week, said she had 15 grand for X amount of dollars. You know what it was? It was like 10, which put me in a position of strength, right? So without the policy, you don't know that. Then the key question, and Mr. Jones, anything you have that acts like life insurance that would offset the cost of your death. You see how I asked that question? I attached the question to the purpose of what we're doing. If I was doing a mortgage protection, I would say anything you have that acts like life insurance that will offset the cost of the house balance, like a 401k, IRA, significant savings or stocks. Again, if it was either burial, I would say burial at the end. If it was, you guys get what I'm saying. If you're doing your job properly, y'all, you should be helping protect one annuity a month if you're doing your job properly. There's no way you're running 15 appointments a week and not finding people with annuities and money. You're dealing with the baby boomers, guys. Baby boomers saved and saved and saved. They came from the Great Depression, on that kind of area, right? They saved a lot of money. They got money. Why aren't you closing annuities? Because you're not asking the questions, right? So even if you're brand new, you can ask this kind of stuff. You ask the question. He says, yeah, I got this. And here's how you can lead it. Perfect. Roughly, what would you say you have in that stock account that could pay off to Mary or Susie if you die today? About, 200,000, 150,000. Okay, perfect. All right, anything else? And again, let's say they have stocks. You need to capture the fact that they're savings money. Here's what I mean by that. Here's how you ask it. Now, Mr. Jones, most of my clients have a rainy day fund. They're putting away $200, $300, $500 a month. Whereabouts do you fall? Ask it just like that. Because the truth is, most people are putting some kind of money away in that sense. He says $200 a month. Perfect. Whatever that is, circle it. Circle it. You're just circling where there's an opportunity to be able to help them, right? Go to the next one, and here's here's like a little stop for a second. If I'm doing a mortgage protection appointment, they told me the balance, they told me how much they were paying extra on the mortgage. You circle that. You're circling premium. And this is how you phrase it. I always hate to add more to someone's budget, Mr. Jones. What I like to do is find where people are spending money and it's not maybe being well used, and just reallocate it to a way where it can actually do better for them. Does that make sense? So if you see that they're putting $300 a month extra in their mortgage, and they're putting, $200 a month in savings, just circle that. And then you may ask later on, hey, the job that you work at, do you participate in the 401k that they offer? Yeah. All right. Or maybe you identified that they had a 401k. All right. Do you participate in that? Perfect. What percentage do you participate, or do they match? Yes. What percentage of your check do you participate in that? He'll say 5%. And you ask him if, do they match 5%? No, they match 2%. And you calculate that number, multiply his income by 5%. That'll tell you how much he's putting away and giving away to Vegas. The 2%, keep. And then you'll say, do you realize, Mr. Jones, do you know why they only match 2%? He'll say, no. That's because that's what they guarantee to get back. Anything above and beyond that, you're kind of gambling with your money. And you got into this to make money, not really lose money, right? Yeah. So most people wouldn't do that. Just leave it right there. So if he was putting away $500 a month from his paycheck, that's $250, right? Let's just say half of it, $250, let's just say, that you can circle, that you can use as an IUL. You can redirect to somewhere else where it's not, you see what I'm saying, guys? The financial inventory gives you everything you need to help the client. And of course, the rest is history. You get Mary's information. You get, of course, the health information. And here's another one. I'm seeing a lot of people, they're simply not doing anything with the health information. If it's not applicable, draw a line. If it's applicable, circle it. Or maybe just circle what's applicable. Means everything else is not applicable. Do something, don't just leave it blank. As far as the medications, it's not just what they say. I know we don't have high blood pressure on there, but if you put it's about the medications. If you put a medication on there, what is it for? What is it for? I have someone told me recently, oh, she just takes high blood pressure medication. Right. They give high blood pressure medication for high blood pressure only, for heart attacks, and all these other things, right? You got to get the meds, y'all. You got to get the meds, and blame it on yourself, because I don't know how to spell this, and I want to make sure that this is accurate. Go ahead and grab that list. Of course, the beneficiary, the rest is history. Get the beneficiary early, by the way. I always get that early, because if you're doing an appointment properly, you should use the beneficiary's name 7 times. So stop saying your beneficiary. Oh, you were trying to make sure that Bill, Johnny, so-and-so, they don't have this, because the truth is that's what they're trying to do. All right. And of course, you go over the reason we have this back area. Oh, by the way, you put the beneficiary here, put a contingent beneficiary. Trust me, you want to. And here's how you ask it. Hey, God forbid, both of you died at the same time. Who would you trust me to deliver the check to? Guys, I say that early, before even presenting options. It's trial closing. They're already assuming that they're going to get this. Who would you trust me to deliver the check to? Right? So you're going to put that on there. In addition, when you get these names, these are going to be the names that are going to be on their ERS, their emergency response system, which is the people that will let us know if they died, right? Referrals. The backside, the purpose of this backside that I put together was because I hated going back and forth, and back and forth. Wrote the address somewhere here on the side. I'm like, I'm done with that. Once I got the data, I write the address, I put the name up top here next to number 1, the address, the phone, the email. All their data is right here. This is once I got all the information and I've called my field support, I know where to go. I write down this information real quick and I start asking these questions. Or if I already have it, like the date of birth, I add it on here. Put the height and weight here. This is for me to put the application so that when I'm doing it, I'm literally only looking at one page, right? Here's another reason why. Have you ever been in a situation, and if you haven't, you don't want to be in the situation where you ask the client for their information, you submit for a carrier, the carrier says no, and then guess what? You have to pivot. You ever been in a situation where you have to pivot and then the client, you have to ask the client the same dang information all over again. What's your social again? Give me that address one more time. It's so unprofessional and it sucks. I've been on the other side as a client. When the dude just asked me that information, I'm like, dude, why don't you just write this down? I hate repeating myself. That's just me. I'm annoyed at this point. You should have done your job and been a professional and had the information there. Write it all down. I put the birthplace, driver's license, boom, 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 boom. And I ask all this information now, even if the carrier that I'm using does not require it. Why? Well, because if I have to pivot, I might need it. For example, America doesn't ask for a driver's license, nor do they ask for the maiden name. But guess who does? Prosperity does, right? Maiden name. What if America says, no, I got to pivot to Aetna? What do you use to sign the application? Maiden name. It's all there, right? The city, the birthplace. I didn't put the city, but in Mutual of Omaha, they ask you for the city of birth, right? I mean, all these little things that come up. The doctor. America only asks for the doctor information if they're doing a term policy, right? What if, American Amicable, they ask for the doctor if you're doing a whole life policy. You see how it's all there? What if the client calls you back and say, hey, hey, Rose, I want to add more coverage, and you've already maxed it on America, you maxed out Prosperity, now you got to do AMAM. You have it all right here. Of course, the banking information, you put it here. I'm telling you, y'all, it makes the client feel so loved, hugged, taken seriously when you can say, hey, Miss Jones, or we want to use the same bank account as the first policy, or do you have a different one? Same one, perfect. Let me verify what I got. Much better than, was that tough again? Trust me, you are taking ownership like a real business, a real broker, a real professional. And then, of course, this stuff I put in there for them to see. This is more, I guess they call it covering, you could say, but it helps the client see what we're doing. I literally put this note down here for them to see, because when you're showing options, assuming you're doing it in person, they're looking at this. And I put this for new agents. The goal was for them to read it. Like, read this stuff. No, Miss Jones, we cannot decide today. The only thing we can do is submit an application for coverage. They read it. The goal is to remove sales pressure, because we ain't trying to pressure anybody. You can't lose what you never had, right? And you got nothing unless they get something that they can afford. You put the three options. And again, this is a different training, but for how to present the options. But the key to a restaurant that is high class versus a little BK, Burger King, hey, give me number one, is how it's all presented, right? The waiter has a little, what do you say in English? Servilleta, how you say it in English? I forgot that thing. Over his arm. Hey, what would you like, man? I mean, this is all the difference. All right, Mr. Jones, you presented as option 1, option 2, and option 3. You always present. Natural death is this. Natural death will do this for you. If you die of an accident, do this for you. And it isn't just an accident. If you trip and fell, hit your head, car accident, make them picture what that situation is. And living benefits, that is X dollars a month. Option 2, natural, if you die of a natural death, accidental is this. Living, so I explain, I go out of my way to explain option 1, what those 3 things are. Then on option 2 and 3, I just go through it. Option 2 and 3, so if it was a natural death, you just didn't wake up again, boom. Accidental, boom. Living benefit, boom. 3, same thing. Of the 3, which one do you like the best? And most important, do you feel you can afford without having to worry about it? Shut up. I literally turn the book over. I give them the book, have them look at it. I go start texting people, literally act disinterested on purpose. So I'm doing other things while they're thinking. And if it's taking a little while, I look back over here. I actually have things to do. But you know what's interesting? Andrew Taylor would play Angry Birds while they were thinking about it. Like, for real. I go on Facebook sometimes. I just gotta start answering, haha, you don't care. And we think we'll take this one. And if it's taking a while, I'll say, all right, just so I wasn't sure if you guys heard me okay. Of the 3 options, I literally asked the question again. And they either, because it's pretty simple, y'all, they either have a question that they are not asking me, or I confuse them. So I'm going to ask the question again to smoke out the question that maybe they have in their head that they're not asking. Boom. That's it, y'all. That's the financial inventory. So I'm really hoping that was helpful. If it wasn't, I'm sorry. But here's the truth. The financial inventory will save your life. Not only for sales and helping protect families, but also I've had it before where clients do lie. They do lie. And they try to say things that aren't true. It's very, very rare. But the financial inventory, well filled, will save your license. where a client will say, hey, no, blah, 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 I said this. And then the carrier will ask you, well, what happened? Send your documentation. You know, literally this client he was litigious. It was just, I was helping the wife. The wife was both of them were there. The husband was all weird. He needed the protection. The wife was on the phone. We submitted the application. She got a client, went to another company. And he calls and he's like, well, we didn't want it. I called the wife. I said, that's weird. I called the wife. I said, hey, congrats, you're approved. She goes, thank you. I'm so excited. We didn't want it. And anyway, he throws this stink about how I did it without their knowing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, there's no way. Had to send text messages, screenshots. And you know what really saved me? The dang financial inventory, y'all. I said, listen, based on what we were trying to protect Mr. Jones from the death of his wife. Here's the financial inventory. Case closed. Saved me. So it's more than just, nice cover dressing. Fill the thing out. Keep in your records. And by the way, when you fill these things out, these have personal information, so you better protect it. By law, you're supposed to keep it in a locked drawer, because if you lose this information, the breaches from the FTC, I think the fine is like $1,000 per fine. I mean, per breach. So make sure you protect it, because it's people's lives in there. That said, y'all, I hope this was helpful, guys. If you thought this was good, we're going to have a great speaker next week. You'll see who it is when you get on. But again, take care, take charge. We'll see you guys next week.